right? So I'll give you guys a little bit of background, and I'll tell you sort of why college and why I went to college and what it actually did for me and how it propelled me to get to the next level.
Jason Reynolds graduated from the University of Maryland with a bachelor's degree in English. He's also the author of When I Was the Greatest and The Boy in the Black Suit. He's speaking to local teens as part of the Creative Arts Teen Summit, also known as Cat's Fiesta Friday. Reynolds relates his early life and how it influenced him as a writer.
My neighborhood has been torn to pieces by crack cocaine, and I can't see myself in anything, in any book, in any magazine. There's nothing talking about my reality. All we had was to turn to hip hop music. It was the only thing that was that were telling our stories. It was saying the things that we wanted to say because no writer was doing it, or at least they weren't publishing it.
Cat's Fiesta Friday starts on the University of Arizona campus at Centennial Hall, where 300 teens from 8 area high schools gather on the Friday before the Festival of Books begins.
It's so exciting to welcome you guys onto campus. So welcome to the U of A. We're happy to have you here today.
The program allows these students to meet, hear from, and work with a select group of authors and illustrators attending the festival.
Teachers get a binder as well? Here we go.
Organizers integrate a college-going message into the sessions, encouraging students interested in writing and the creative arts to pursue a college education.
Me as a writer, I like to reflect a lot on my life, on my influences, but my poetry is more on the not dark side, but gloomy side, just the side that I don't share with people.
Frida Cordova is one of the students attending this year.
I like just simple poems, a lot of reflections. I keep a journal.
Frida wants to come away from today's sessions with a certain feeling about her own work.
Hopefully to feel more comfortable in my writing, to publicly share it. I've been wanting to participate in the Poetry Slam held at Bentley's, and I've been going to hear my friends perform and, you know, just getting that more confidence in me to share my poems.
You're going to have the opportunity to interact with some wonderful authors and illustrators.
And these books that I loved, I was a big reader. I loved reading.
Author Amy Nichols shares her early days as an aspiring writer.
So I had this idea that, okay, I would like to do this, but it was kind of scary, like the idea of actually writing something and showing it to someone and hoping it to get it published. So I kind of kept it as a secret dream for years and years and years, and I did a whole bunch of other things. I was a web designer. I worked in politics for a while. Nothing really fit. And I would whine to my husband, I really want to be a writer. And he would say, well, write something. And I'd be like, no, that's too scary. I don't want to show anybody. Finally, I got to a point where I just felt like if something happened to me and I had not, like if I died and I hadn't actually tried this, I'd have so much regret.
She did try it and published her first book, Now That You're Here.
Our goal was always for me to be home with the kids.
As Nichols and the students make their way over to the workshops in the Student Union, Frida Cordova reflects on the beginning of the day.
She was trying all these things before finally finding the courage or confidence to write. The fear, she called it stupid fear, and I agree because, you know, you never know if you will be published or not, or if you'll get your work to be heard. That's what I want to do. I'm reading it. As a teen, you get kind of scared of rejection or what others going to think about your work.
For my money and in my mind, writer's block is not the absence of ideas, but it's the absence of belief in yourself. And that was something they were talking about in the panel that we just saw. Have any of you guys ever seen or heard of like improv? Do you know what? Yeah, vaguely aware. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, a little bit on TV. Yeah.
Author Teddy Steinkellner wrote Trash Can Days and the sequel Trash Can Nights.
I want you and your partner to come up with a super special, secret best friends handshake. Walk around. This will all make sense in a second. This game, by the way, is called Rapid Bonding. 10 more seconds, keep going.
Do it again, one more time. Okay, ready? Go.
Basically, I love improvisational theater, and the sort of games and silly exercises that you do and the ways they jog your creativity, I find apply to writing pretty directly, and so we were doing some proto-writing. And I will be the first tree, and I'll help us as we go. Who wants to come in and join me?
I'm a bird watcher.
Yeah! All right, so you take one of those two with you. Just say, I'll take one. I hope that they got just a burst of pure, uncut positivity and some sense of belief and of feeling like writing or creating is something that you are allowed to do and that you should pursue if that's what you want to do with just 1000% passion.
We stand alone on Valentine's Day.
Well, I remember when they were doing the Mice and Men, and Lord of the Flies, To Kill a Mockingbird. All the books that you all are still reading, right? The same books, right? So I'm like, yo, To Kill a Mockingbird. It's like, yo, Scout is all right. Right? Scout is all right. But I know tougher girls in my neighborhood. Right? Right? Scout don't look like, you know, Tasha down the block. Scout but that's a reality, right? And because of that reality, it's like, so I close the book. Right? Scout, but I mean, you think about that, right? Like Scout, because I always, people are like, yo, you don't like To Kill a Mockingbird? I like it now that I'm an adult. I like it now that I've learned some other things. When I was a kid, I was like, yo, Scout's father is a lawyer. My daddy isn't even here.
Jason Reynolds shares how he fell in love with words and language by reading the liner notes from Queen Latifah's Black Rain cassette tape.
I begged my brother to use his Walkman, and I put the earphones on, and I read along to her rapping. And then when the songs were over and the album was done, I read again, right, without the music. And it was only then that I was like 9 years old. It was only then that I realized that this was sort of like my first interaction with poetry, right? These were words in verse, printed on paper, that if I read them without the music behind me, they were just poems. And that was sort of the very beginning. And so from that point on, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a poet. And I started to read. And then over time, it sort of evolved into the novels. But much, much later, 15, 20 years after that.
His message to these students was, whatever your background, whatever your story, find your own inspirations and learn to trust your own creative voice.
Because you speak a certain way, right? Or because you write a certain way, because you have an accent, or because you speak in a certain slang, a certain vernacular. And I'm not telling you that it's always necessary to use all of those things at all times, but I am telling you that you never have to be ashamed of that part of yourself, right? And so I sat down and I wrote my story, and I wrote it the way I wanted to write it. I wrote it using my language. I wrote it in fragmented sentences, some of them, right? It's like, no, they're not all complete sentences. No, there's not.
Okay.
Get rid of all the stuff that you don't.
For Frida Cordova, the day is coming to a close.
Oh, yeah.
She's come away with a newfound confidence about pursuing her own work.
I kept hearing that a lot, like, you just need to do you, and you just need to be yourself and really put it out there and take risks. And it's okay to fail, because even that failure can lead you to something else. And enjoy what you write and do, and share it.
That's like what you should do, right?
Right, I'm saying that, like,
Yeah.
I'm really saying.
It's also an opportunity to hear some final words of wisdom from the authors.
Frida, F-R-Y-D-H-A.
Amy Nichols, in particular, made an impression on her.
When I first started out, I would go back and revise that first chapter, and then I was becoming a chapterist and not a novelist. So just go through it, get through that draft, and then you can see the whole thing and step back and revise. You have nothing to lose. Yeah, right? Thank you. You can do it. Good luck to you. Thank you.
Frida shares a short poem she wrote about writing and this day.
It's a haiku poem, and it goes, staring at the page, my mind wanders freely caged. Slow, focused, happy I am.